Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Soapbox Slam, where I get on my soapbox and I slam things that I see going on. This evening, I'm on my soapbox because I saw a movie this evening that I thought was very sophisticated and well done. I think that's the best way for me to describe the movie. The movie was called American Fiction. It starred Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is an American actor. He's in his mid to late 50s, 2 kids, done several movies, grew up in the DC area. Jeffrey Wright played in films like Angels in America, which was a series on HBO that dealt with, it was based on true events, and it dealt with the AIDS epidemic in New York City. I mean, the AIDS epidemic was everywhere, but particularly in New York City, and the experience that people have contracting HIV. He plays a caring nurse taking care of AIDS patients in that movie. I think it was like a 4-day, 4-part series. I think 2-3 hours each evening. For this HBO series called Angels in America, and it was an all-star cast. You had Jeffrey Wright in that movie. You had Al Pacino, who played Roy Cones. He's a real character. Roy Cones was actually best friends with Donald Trump. I don't think anything nefarious ever happened between them, but Roy Cohn was considered, he was a lawyer, and he was considered a very nasty, disgusting kind of lawyer. The kind of lawyer that gives lawyers a bad name. Is just not a very good guy. And he was a part of the Nixon trials. He was a part of a lot of things, political things that occurred in American history, and very much a part of the ostracization and condemnation of homosexuals and HIV. And lo and behold, Roy Cones dies from HIV because he was homosexual and a promiscuous man. And he dies from HIV, his promiscuity. Anyway, so this is this film, Angels in America, and it had a lot of different topics and a lot of different things in it, and Jeffrey Wright was in this film. This film did win Emmys and Golden Globes and Oscar nominations and things like that. It was well done on HBO. He also played a character called Basquiat. Basquiat was a Haitian I want to say African American. He was actually Haitian. He was a Haitian artist who lived in America in the 80s in New York City, and he ran around in crowds with Truman Capote and Andy Warhol, and you know, there was like this they always refer like the Rat Pack, and that was originally Dean and Dean Martin and Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. So that's where the term Rat Pack comes from. But we kind of relabel and regroup everybody with that term, the Rat Pack, the Brat Pack, or whatever else. And this was a pack, a group of guys, artists who were in New York City during the early 80s and ran around and created art, Andy Warhol's art, and then of course Basquiat's art. And a lot of people today don't even know that they're supporting or know Basquiat, what his artwork was and everything else. But people wear his logo, which was this 3-pointed crown, kind of in a rudimentary, elementary kind of style. This 3-point crown that he always signed his artwork with, right? That's Basquiat, and not a lot of people, especially you see it on urban clothing everywhere in this day and age, and it was trending for a long time, and it was Basquiat, and he was, like I said, a very good Haitian artist. And so Jeffrey Wright played a biography, pictorial movie about Basquiat, and he did a fantastic job doing it, right? Like he was very good. Jeffrey Wright also played in Hunger Games, and he's in the new Batman movie that's coming out. And Jeffrey Wright has been a long-standing actor, in the game. And I've always admired his work. I think he has a fantastic range. So the movie stars Jeffrey Wright, and I wanted to see this movie, because I like to support actors that I enjoy watching, and I like to support black films, and I put that in quote, black films, and I just feel I feel that that's something that I should do as a biracial person or whatever else. I mean, I don't just support black films. I support any film that I think looks good, whether it's an Asian film or a white film or a Hollywood blockbuster or an action or whatever else. So I just identify it as, because that is actually the very essence and theme of this movie, American Fiction. So American Fiction isn't played everywhere, especially in certain areas of the country or where you live, where it's probably gonna, well, this would be my assumption, that it certainly didn't play anywhere near me. I had to drive quite a distance and to a bigger city in order to a bigger city with more of an urban or African American influence in that town in order to see the film, right? The film was released December 15th, and it's basically January 15th, so it's been released for more than a month now, and it was only released in select theaters. And the interesting thing about this film, and I will just say hands down right out, I enjoyed the film. It's a little slow moving, and it's kind of more of a highbrow, high comedy kind of satire, right? I think it requires a level of thought and evaluation in order to watch the movie, and I think some movies are great and designed to do that, and this particular film is like that. The interesting thing about this film, and why I did enjoy it, like I said, it's a bit slow moving. The main character, nicknamed Monk, is a writer, and he has written several novels that have not done well. And the interesting thing about the novels that he's written is that none of his characters in his novels or his novels were centered around black issues, black causes, black anything. They were very neutral, right? Everyday people, everyday problems, everyday American issues, right? American stories, right? And he's challenged by his agent to write something that is not his status quo typical writing. And while he's comparing himself to other quote unquote black writers, he's noticing that black writers that write novels and stories that cater to a depiction of the African American experience were being very successful. In his opinion, that kind of writing and those kind of novels kind of dumb down the impression or the expectation of African American people, and he struggles with this. And he has some precipitating events in his events in his life that force him to sit down and just write. And when he does this, out of his anger and frustration and everything else, lo and behold, something creative came out, right? And this creative piece of work was, in his opinion, a joke, right? Like, and okay, I'm gonna write this novel as a joke and a way to say F you to the establishment, because he was gonna write this thing and write it in Ebonics and write it, to be a slap in the face, never expecting that what he would write, this, ebonics written kind of novel, would be, Oprah's book club, right? The bestseller, the New York Times list bestseller, everything else, and that's what the book becomes. And I mean, he is just, he writes it in a pseudonym. He's not, as his normal self, and he's just dumbfounded and angry that he had to dumb himself down and dumb his writing down and act like a fool, a buffoonery in his writing, and that is what would be his moneymaker. And boy, did he make money from this, right? And it kind of, the irony, I don't know if that's the right descriptive word, the irony of the entire movie is that when you watch this, the character isn't, yes, you can see that they're black, but they have a very upscale life. I mean, all of his siblings are doctors. His whole family comes from a family long line of doctors. He's, a New England native, and they have servants and they have a very sophisticated, wealthy life. And to me, what you see is, even though they're black, they're very typical American family, right? And it's ironic. The irony is that it's all of the white people, the white producers, the white movie directors, the white agents, the white audiences, the white critics, all of them who box this particular writing, this kind of ebonics, dumbed down, simple-minded, simple kind of writing. They're the ones that glorify it and kind of label it and box it into this kind of category that he only wrote as a kind of an FU to that very establishment. And of course, and of course it takes off. It's a $4 million hit. It's a movie. It's going to be made into a movie and all this other stuff. And without giving everything away about the film, and you should watch it. It's quite funny, in a highbrow kind of way. It puts it back in the lap of, it was a white people problem. The perception of what is acceptable for black excellence, right, is truly buffoonery and ignorance, and that's acceptable, and that's what they promote. And so I think the film really challenges white people more than black people to evaluate their perceptions and expectations of what it means to be black, and what is black excellence. I don't think I'm doing a great justice of explaining the film, because I think you have to watch it to really get the emotional messages, and there are plenty of it. Like I said, it's a very well done, sophisticated, highbrow comedy satire, and I think it throws it back in the laps of white audiences, and challenges white audiences' perception of black excellence and black expectations, and the expectation to be black, and what is that defined as. So that's why I think it's very clever in execution. And I think that Jeffrey Wright does an excellent job of walking that line and being this character, the actor and the character, his acting has to walk a fine line of trying to, because how am I trying to say here? It's his disdain for the treatment that's actually excelling the money and the depiction of African culture, which is something that he doesn't even really identify with. And so I think the film actually throws it right back into the white audience's laps, and challenges them on their perception of what is defined as black culture and black behavior and black expectations, right? That is the uniqueness of this film, and I think it does a good job. I would say that I was in the theater and I would have expected, highly educated black audience, right? I was the only black person in the theater. It's late at night, it's a later show, it's a weeknight, people are in school, whatever else. But there were probably about 20 people in the audience watching this film, and 19 of them were all white, which I was proud of. To be honest with you, I was proud of those people spending the money on a black film, supporting black actors in that aspect, but sitting through and being challenged by the subject matter. Because like I said, the subject matter throws it in their lap. I don't know how to explain it better or identify how it challenges a white viewer. It challenges their perceptions and definitions of what it means to be black. And it's cleverly executed. It really is. It's not, as I watched it and trailers and everything else, I could surmise what I thought the film would be about, because of the one-liners and the funny and the comedy that was executed in the trailers. I got a sense of, okay, I know what I have a feeling what this is about. I know what they're challenging here. But it did it in a much higher, sophisticated, intelligent way. And I think that's what makes the movie really great. So that's my take on the film. I'm glad I did see the film. It's a little slow moving. It's kind of a life piece. Not a lifetime film. It's certainly not that. It is a life piece. And when I say a life piece, it's more of a drama about an American family's life. And it just so happens to be black. But the constructs around what so happens to be black is trying to pigeonhole what is black artistic expression, and what we as a society are going to reward black expression, and I think that's the challenge of the film, and I think it does it well. So I would say, the film will probably be in the theaters a little while longer. It may be up for an Oscar, it may not. It was up for a Golden Globe. Unfortunately, Jeffrey Wright didn't win a Golden Globe for it. But I would still say that it's a worthy movie to see. Even if you don't watch it in the theater, and you just stream it, it's worth watching. It certainly is worth watching. So that's my slam this evening. I told you I'd get on the slam because I was going to go see this film, and I really enjoyed it. Check it out. It's called American Fiction, and it's worth the challenge. It's definitely thought-provoking. All right. Have a wonderful evening. Sleep well, and remember, tomorrow is another day. So anything that was bad or horrible today, you don't have to deal with tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new day. So be happy and wake up with joy, and wake up with the intent to be happy, and have a wonderful day tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Until next time, I'll see you soon.